The topic focus of our group was to look at the role of drought in sudden aspen decline or SAD. The article that was selected for us was Sudden Aspen Decline, a review of pattern and process in changing climate, published in 2019. For our peer-reviewed paper critique, our group was comprised of Fallon Kelly, John Barkowski, and myself, Laura Caron. In the 2019 article, Sudden Aspen Decline, a review of pattern and process in a changing climate, authors developed an abridgment of over 100 academic articles into a well-organized summary. Quaking aspens, one of the most prevalent tree species on Earth, are suffering from rapid stand decline and widespread death in North America. The aggregation of both predisposing conditions and stressors form the basal origins of sudden aspen decline. Despite relatives of the aspen being a far-reaching species on many other continents, something unique about the North American environment is causing SAD to occur at an alarming rate. Researchers in this review process explored previous studies and the existing body of work surrounding the quaking aspen, SAD, and normal patterns of aspen mortality to answer the question of why SAD is only occurring in North America. Furthermore, they sought to develop recommendations for effective management strategies. The overall objective of their paper and our paper is to clarify the presence and cause of SAD in North America by synthesizing these pre-existing research papers and to make the best management recommendations as to why this is not occurring in any other locations. Some of the key questions posed by this article are why the novel decline disease, or SAD, is uniquely affecting the North American environment in regards to aspen, what the threats posed by aspen dieback in North America are, what the successional pathways and ecosystem changes related to SAD are, and what adaptive or collaborative strategies can be used in the future of forestry management and forested lands with regard to aspen communities. The authors of this article, instead of conducting a research project exploring a new hypothesis, conducted a conceptual review of the existing bodies of academic literature regarding SAD based on over 100 different examples and developed an overview chart with the best 30 examples which examined the methods, key findings, and language used to discuss aspen die-off and sudden aspen death. The table they developed to identify and examine key studies in the field clearly articulated the respective authors, year published, methods used, key findings, and terminology used. By developing such a structured timeline, it was evident that not only is the body of work on SAD extensive, but also it infers a dire need for the research to be conducted. By categorically breaking down the components of SAD, not only were all relevant terms defined, but also were connected with sufficient supporting subcategories to disentangle any confusion that may have arose for the target audience. Inclusion of the table of previous bodies of key works was vital to this review as it clearly summarized major concepts or theories. Authors of this article organized their arguments in this conceptual review into 6 main categories. These categories included discussion of normal patterns of aspen mortality in contrast to those of SAD, what the contributing factors leading to SAD are, what the physiology of SAD is, how aspen range landscapes change over time, how to effectively manage aspen ranges and SAD, and ended with their overall conclusion. Much of this review sought to clarify and define aspects of SAD to substantiate its existence in addition to validating the threat it poses. An example of the useful tables that were developed in this article is Table 1. It is a synthesis of previously existing models developed by Frey, Worrell, Andrade, Morelli, and Carr, and other key researchers within their field. This table identifies and defines what characteristics of a healthy aspen stand are, predisposing factors, inciting factors, contributing factors, and characteristics of effective stands. Next, we'd like to address some of the main findings of this paper. The land use history, successional status, and age class structure of North American aspens are the primary reasons for this novel occurrence. Additionally, they are based on land use history. Aspen stands are now considered to be unstable in southern ranges which are drier and hotter in climate. Aspens are an invaluable resource to their respective landscapes. They hold essential nutrients for wildlife, hold aesthetic value, promote biodiversity, and are home to a massive amount of carbon sequestration. Aspens will be a significant indicator of climate change in the upcoming decades. As illustrated in Figure 1, which shows the possible successional trajectories of aspen stands in the Rocky Mountains, the physiology of SAD is one of the greatest devastations of drought-induced decline. Studies show that a system-level cascade of failures can be triggered by initial drought stress. In the conclusions of this article, the authors focus on preventative measures and resilience for future management applications in forestry. They also articulate that more effort needs to be placed on promoting aspens in colder, moister sites with carefully prescribed burning to effectively move aspens to higher elevations. Furthermore, smaller stands of resilient heterogeneous age classes in suitable environments need to be established. We have identified 5 key strengths of this article. This article supported research findings and statements with established and credible sources. It also was written and constructed in a manner that was easy for one to follow with intuitive rationale. The purpose and conclusions were clearly defined, which left nothing open for interpretation. Its management recommendations for SAD are also realistic and fairly clear. And finally, it encouraged and supported continued research into SAD. We decidedly deduce that the weaknesses of this paper were none at the fault of the authors. The implied weaknesses of the paper were clearly stated by the authors regarding the financial gap and varying degree of established research communities for research into SAD occurring in Eurasia. In conclusion, this paper focused on the land use history, successional status, and age class structure of North American aspens as the primary reasons for the novel occurrence of this disease. SAD is expected to continue while climate change remains a growing threat. Aspen stands on south-facing slopes are predisposed to SAD, and early, proactive management throughout silviculture methodologies is a solution to managing the disease until a more established strategy can be developed. Further research is definitely needed.